This is the Princess Y72. It replaces the F70 to become the entry-level model in Princess's yacht range. And we've got full access today, so as well as a comprehensive tour, we're going to head out to sea and give it a proper sea trial. And it's blowing an absolute hoolie, which should make for a good test. What's great about a planing boat of this size is the flexibility you have in cruising speed. So we're doing 10 knots at the moment, the engines are doing 1000 RPM and they're sipping 33 or 34 litres each. And with that, you know, the range skyrockets, 700, 800 miles, absolutely no problem, especially on this version of the 72, which has got the larger fuel tanks. But the beauty is that if you do want to get a move on, you've got 1,650 horsepower MANs on each side of the boat, and a top speed of 33 knots. So that means you can drift along at 20 knots and it really feels like the boat is hardly moving, or you can go along at 30 knots on something that's over 50 tons. You want to get a move on. It just gives you this amazing amount of flexibility depending on the situation and what you want to do with the boat. And the other thing is, this boat's got fin stabilisers. You can have a gyroscopic stabiliser if you prefer. This one's got the fins, so if you do want to travel at displacement speed, even if it's a bit choppy and there's a bit of a swell, it's so comfortable to do so. And the deck spaces on this thing are so nice that guests may want to use the foredeck and the sun pads and the cockpit when the boat's moving along. And if you're moving along at slow speed with those stabilisers on, you can absolutely do that. If you want to get a bit of a move on though, 30-knot cruise feels absolutely lovely. Now, it's not choppy in here, we're inside Plymouth Sound here, inside the breakwater, but we were in some properly challenging conditions. Hopefully that'll come away on the drone shots. And the boat handled it brilliantly. Okay, it's sending great angel wings of spray off the bow, as those spray rails should do, and some of it comes over the flybridge, but the hull feels absolutely rock solid, and that's what you expect. You're into the yacht range here. You know, this is the first rung on the ladder in Princess's yacht range, and the way with it just solidly ploughs through the water gives you real confidence that if you do get caught in heavy weather when you're on a longer passage, the boat's going to handle it absolutely no problem. Now, as I said, this boat's got the twin 1650 MAN VTOLs. There's a 1400 horsepower option as well. I don't imagine many people will be going for that because the price difference is negligible, and that means that you top out at 30 knots, whereas on this, as I've said, you can cruise at 30 knots, so it's just a bit more flexible, and I bet there's very little difference when it comes to fuel efficiency. In fact, the smaller engines may be less efficient because they're working harder to go the same speed. And you know, this is a boat that's going to have a stabiliser. The hardtop is an option, but most boats have it. They're going to be loaded with kit, so it's going to be quite heavy when you've got all the cruising gear and full cruising fluids on board. And this is something I always talk about with Princess, but it's absolutely true on the 72. Despite the fact that, you know, this is no sports boat, they set up the helm position as if it is. I've got a fantastic view forward. You see how close everything is to me? The wheel is nice and close to my legs. The throttles aren't too far away either. Everything is really clearly displayed in front of me. And because you're in the yacht range now, you get this Bonning screen here, which is like the central management system. It's really beautifully presented. You've got one up here and the lower helm. Garmin MFDs on either side. Of course, you know, you can customize them fully as well. It's just a really simple but classy helm layout, and it works really well. It's the same up here as it is downstairs. Very, very effective. And I just love that you can get so nice and close to this helm, even though you're on a boat that's basically going to live most of its life in a straight line. And having said how solid this boat feels in a straight line, and I have to say it's a pleasure to be able to test the boat in proper challenging conditions. It's been a sort of force 5 gusting stronger than that today with a swell to match. It's also incredibly light from the helm. You know, this is a big boat, 75 foot long, over 50 tons, but it's so light from the helm, it almost feels like a pod drive installation. There you go, you probably just hear the breeze we're dealing with. But it's beautifully light, and you can swing this thing around so comfortably for something so large. It behaves so neatly from the helm. It's incredible how beautiful and light this steering is. And it just makes the boat a real pleasure to manoeuvre, whether you're moving at the speeds we're moving at now. If you're moving at higher speed and suddenly you spot a lobster pot or something in the water, this boat's got the reactions that you can move out of its way without worrying that you're going to go over it and entangle the props. It's a trick that Princess has been playing for years. You know, boats of this size that have no right to handle the way they do, they just manage to knock it out of the park every single time, and this is an absolutely shining example of them doing it. This is effectively like a scaled down Y85, so it has the feast of swoops and curves you'd expect with an Olazinski Princess Pininfarina partnership. There's some lovely lines running down the side of this boat, and even the curvature around the back of the flybridge is really, really attractive. And you also get this lovely substantial stainless steel that runs all the way from here up to the bow. It's a really nice gauge. It's all nicely rounded as well, feels and looks really high quality. Now, this is a hydraulic bathing platform, has a capacity of 550 kilograms, so you could carry a Williams 395 jet tender on here, and this is quite a useful little area as well. This is actually looks like a storage space, but you can have that fitted with chargers and mounts for 2 C-bobs. Perfect position just to pull them out, chuck them straight in the water. And to this side, this is the crew cabin. This is physically a larger boat than the F70. It's about 5 foot longer and it weighs about 15 tons more. And that allows you more space all over the boat, and especially down here in the crew cabin, which is a really nice size. It comes as standard on all the Y models. You have a crew cabin that comes as part of the standard spec. You've got a couple of berths down here. What's nice though is that you can get through this bulkhead here, because this is the bathroom that shuts off there, and then this door actually becomes the toilet door, which is quite clever, a clever use of space. You have a watertight door through to a really useful lazarette storage space, but there's also some components in there, and then another watertight door, and you're into the main engine room. As I said, through a second watertight door, here you are in the main engine room. Now, bearing in mind, this has got the largest 1,650 horsepower MAN V12s in it. There's a decent amount of room in here. I mean, they are big old engines. Headroom is absolutely astonishing in here. Really good amounts of artificial light, and lashings and lashings and lashings of soundproofing. So we'll find out on the water. This is a very quiet boat from the lower helm. When you see this, you can understand why. It's really easy to get to everything. They're all water strainers. You've got washdown in here, freshwater washdown. It's really neatly organised and very, very clean indeed. And as you come up to this cockpit, as well as these super chunky railings I've already mentioned, look at the size of the mooring gear. It's absolutely fantastic. These fair leads are an absolute work of art. And as an option, you can have boarding gates on both sides of the boat. Makes it a bit easier to get on and off if you buy a raised quayside, for example. You come to the cockpit, it's really, really nice space, very well protected. The overhang goes a long way over this area, so you get protect from not only sunshine but also rain if it's a bit wetter. And I like the fact that there's plenty of detailing in this overhead. It's not just a slab of fiberglass. You've got the lighting up there, you've got some speakers, changes of tone and texture. Looks really good. And the way that the seating here wraps all the way around, this person sitting here isn't left without a backrest, gives you a nice amount of support. And of course the table is in sort of travel mode now. You've got handholds and the cup holders on show, but you've got little finger slots inside the leaves, and they open up, so you have a really nice sized table if you do want to serve food down here. The other thing to point out about this area is railings absolutely everywhere. There's the upright where the steps are there, but it's nice that you've got this just to grab onto. And in this slot, as an option, you have a wing station. So from here you have full control of both engines. You know, that's the same set of throttles that you have at the lower helm and the flybridge helm. You've got your engine stop start, anchor in and out, and then you've got control for the bow thruster and the stern thruster from here. So if you're berthing stern 2 in the Mediterranean, you're right here at the back of the boat with a fantastic view. And actually, even if you're coming alongside, it's quite nice to be this close to what you're coming alongside to, and this allows you to do that. There's some great subtle detailing all over this boat, and there's a great example around here. The fact that the teak treads sort of pour down the front of the steps, so there isn't any fiberglass on show really, and they're inset with really nice LED lighting which actually runs all the way down the sides as well. But it's stuff like this deck drain here, it's really subtly incorporated. It means that if you get a lot of water coming down the deck, it drains away into there, it doesn't come into the cockpit, and you have a completely flat threshold between the cockpit and the saloon. There's no lip to stop water going in. Again, there's a deck drain there so that the water drains down into there and obviously not into the saloon, but it's all really subtle in the way that it's incorporated into the deck. But of course, the star of the show when it comes to the deck spaces is the flybridge, so let's head there next. There's more smart stuff going on here, even up on the staircase. This just looks like a handle, but actually this is the locking mechanism. When you have it that way, it locks the door open so it can't slam down. When it goes that way, you can pull this down and then this becomes the lock when the hatch is shut. Really lovely piece of design. And again, look at the quality of the stainless steel here. It looks and feels fabulous. And this is a really impressive deck space. You know, we say it's sort of based on the Y85. It doesn't feel that much smaller really. You can have this area completely open if you prefer. Can keep the tender up here. Obviously you need a crane to put it in and out of the water. But this is a really nice layout with this sun pad. I like the way the backrest arcs around there, so makes it as comfortable as possible. And the way the seating swoops from end to end. Really big dinette is the focal point. And then you've got the usual Princess trick forward of seating that also converts into a sun pad right forward. And then here we have the wet bar, which is really well located opposite that dinette. All the things that you would want in here. You've got your grill here, fridge, sink, really well prepared to serve guests up here. Now the hardtop is an option. They only built one F70, I think, without a hardtop. If you don't have this, you have a rear-facing radar arch, and it just won't have that sort of yacht feel that most people are looking for from a boat like this. And you have this sort of cantilevered, slatted roof here in lieu of a canvas one. Feedback was that canvas one, although the aperture is much larger, it does tend to rattle around a bit, and that means it wears. So actually, this seems to be a better solution. Upper helm here, ergonomics are really, really sweet, and what's nice is that the skipper is actually in the middle of the boat, so they have the best possible view, but there's still space between the two seats, so the navigator can get out without disturbing the person driving the boat. This is one of my favourite views above the Y72. This amazing curvature they've got in this superstructure here sends lovely reflections running down here when the water's running past. It's just really interesting. It could have been left as just a straight slab, but they've worked really hard to get the surfacing just right. It does look absolutely lovely. And along here, it also offers a little bit of protection overhead as well. And these massive railings come up to meet you at hip level. You've got huge cleats, 2 cleats on the top sides here, and obviously you've got cleats at either end. It's a very safe and easy boat to move around. It's the same case up at the foredeck. Now this area looks a little bit sparse on this boat because it hasn't got the optional teacup here. You can have that if you prefer. This is a bit lower maintenance, but probably doesn't look quite as nice. And then you have this nice wrap of seating here. This is actually a storage locker. There's one on both sides, and they actually run the full width of the coach roof here. So there's loads of storage in there for fenders, covers, all sorts of things can be chucked in there and forgotten about. That table is obviously set in sort of coffee table mode. It has got replaceable legs, so you can have it a little bit higher if you prefer to dine there. And this sun pad here has adjustable backrest so that they'll sit up so you have a little bit more support when you're sunbathing. Cup holders either side and a nice handrail there as well to grab onto. And then right forward you notice just how substantial the mooring gear and the anchor gear is. Really, really high quality, a good size, and then you have a split anchor locker. One is pure storage and the other one has got controls for the windlass and freshwater washdown as well. Let's have a look inside, shall we? This slides open. It doesn't open any further than that, but this section does open. So you get a really nice effect, which opens the galley up to the cockpit here. You have this area here that acts as a bit of a bar area. Of course, the internal dinette table is directly opposite the galley as well. And like the table outside, you've got a little finger slot here, so you can pull this over, which reveals your cup holders and a handhold, so you can steady yourself on the way through. Again, the detailing is really good. You don't have to lift up any cushions to get to storage in here. Any storage is a drawer basically underneath the sofa, so you don't have to lift off cushions and fiddle around with lids. It's really, really easy to get to. Another key thing about this saloon is it has a completely flat floor. In fact, this deck is flat all the way from the transom right to that companionway there. There's nothing to trip up on in the middle, and that just makes the space feel so open and large and luxurious. There is a little step down into the galley to account for the full-size fridge freezer. Lots of storage incorporated into this area. This bar return here has got storage in it. It's got the bin inside it. You have a dishwasher here as an option, sink obviously, and then you have your Miele induction cooking. It's a nice comprehensive galley arrangement aboard this boat. And moving forward, one key change is that you have these bar stools here. Now they are optional. You don't have to have them. If you don't have them, you just have a bit of space here. But I think they're going to be quite a nice place for guests to come and sit. Obviously you can arrange their drinks, nibbles in front of them, a nice place to sit with a coffee in the morning. And you do get the benefit of these absolutely enormous saloon windows. Both sides, the views out are just spectacular. And because the sofas are set quite low, and they're set quite low, you have a really nice view out, even when you're sat down in this saloon. Now this area feels particularly spacious because there's no coffee table. That will be an option. It is an option. It should be on this boat. It hasn't been fitted quite yet. But actually I quite like the fact that you've got so much floor space. But it strikes me that this is a large area with nothing to hold on to. And I think nice handhold in the ceiling here could work really well. Wouldn't have to look too ugly, and actually just gives you something right here that you can grab onto if you're moving around the boat when it's at sea. And we come right forward, you obviously have a lower helm station on this flybridge boat. This is access down here to the master cabin. I'll have a proper look at that later on. I really like this area. I think they're great for when the boat's going along. It's also a nice place to be when the boat is stationary because it's raised up higher, so you get a really nice view out. And Princess has even incorporated this, so you can have a little workstation, put your laptop out. What a place to work from this would be. Very nice. So a close look at the helm. So this is your lower driving position. It actually features some new stuff for Princess. So it has a new seat design. Really comfortable actually. They're lovely. They look and feel great too. A new steering wheel design with the boss that is weighted so it doesn't move when the wheel moves. And because this is a yacht model, it has Bonning screens as standard, and that means that you have full customized control of the boat system from your fingertips here at the helm. And that's everything from engines to lighting, checking fuel status, AC, DC power. You can control all of the boat's internal lights from this screen, and there are presets so you can just have like a night mode, harbour mode, home mode, all those sorts of things, all configurable right from your fingertips. And then you've got the Garmin MFDs which deal with navigation and the actual running of the boat, etc. It's a really nice helm position. It's quite simple. It's typically classy. There is the option to have a proper control panel for the MFDs here, which I would want because you are a little bit of a stretch away from them. And actually, if you're really thumping around, it would have to be a big sea for that to be happening on this boat. But you might prefer to use that rather than sort of stabbing around on a touchscreen. You have a side door here, great for ventilation. Also, obviously great for a passage out onto the side decks and communication with crew. You also have a side window on the other side of the boat next to passengers. The only other thing I noticed from down here when I was driving out at sea is this mullion is quite thick and creates quite a blind spot, so you just need to keep checking that there's nothing coming off your starboard side that you haven't spotted because this is quite large. Let's have a look at the guest accommodation, shall we? Now that's down its own dedicated companionway separate to the master, as I explained earlier. Actually on the way down you notice this is where you've got your AC, DC systems where you switch between generator, shore power, all really clear to see and in a nice handy position here by the helm. Now in terms of guest cabins, there are 3 of them, 2 pretty much identical twins. The starboard one here, though it's the port one that has direct access to the day heads, which is a really good size actually. Yes, it's shared between 2 cabins, but really well proportioned, and that's the loo that guests will be using mainly during the day. This is also where you find your washer dryer, quite conveniently located between all the guest cabins here. And then right forward, you have the VIP cabin, which we'll have a bit of a closer look at. This is a lovely cabin. Part of the new hull design means that there's a bit more space to go right forward here, which means that you get more space for a bigger bed. It means that you can have a proper square bed as well, not a bed that sort of tapers at either end. It's a really nice sized bed, this one. It's set at a good height as well. And there's a big step either side, so it's easy to get yourself up and into it. And I stand up here, okay, headroom's a little bit compromised, but you're sort of going to be climbing into bed anyway, so shouldn't matter too much. And you notice the curvature that is such a signature of the rest of the boat comes all the way down here as well. The way that this flows round forward there, and the detailing at the bed head, it's all really nice and practical too. Storage dotted around at eye level. You've got a television in here, there's a little bureau over on that side, and a really good storage space here. Really great big locker with a mirror built in. It's a really decent size, as is the heads, and every bathroom, including the day heads, has a proper rain shower head as well. It's nice that owners have the privacy of their own separate access into this little lobby way before they come into the master cabin. This is a lovely space, headroom all the way around, well over 6 foot, completely flat floor, so there's no issues about tripping over in the night, and it's really tastefully done as well. Huge, great television, comes as standard, and I like this area over here where you've got the bureau and you've got some storage. It feels more sophisticated than just a boat cabin. It's really, really classily executed. And one major change over the F70 is that its bathroom used to be sort of tucked over here in this corner. On this boat, the bathroom runs almost the full width behind the bed. Not only does that mean you have a very spacious bathroom, but it's another buffer of insulation between this cabin where the owner is sleeping and the machinery space. We've got the engine, generator, etc. Thank you very much for watching this review of the Princess Y72. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a like, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video.